This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.
Kia ora, and welcome to Diversity Dispatch, your local queer radio show. We're your hosts, Ricky
and Percy, and we're here to bring you the latest in Dunedin queer news, community projects, events, and more.
Sit back, relax, and tune into our fortnightly show hosted on OAR FM.
Let's get started.
Hey team, welcome back.
Hi.
So as we all know, the lovely Percy will not be joining us for some time now. Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
But we're joined here by a very special guest. A lovely friend of the pod who's been on before.
It's me and Arky.
That's right. So we thought today we would have a lovely, chill conversation about arts and crafts and other creative endeavours.
Hobbies.
Yeah.
We're very creative people, you and I.
Yes, we are. The amount of hobbies that I have currently or have had in the past or pick up per month, I could not count on one hand.
Yeah, like my parents always spent so much money on my hobby stuff growing up because it was like, this keeps him busy and this keeps him out of trouble.
Yeah, my parents were similar, but it was more so just like the moment I showed a little bit of interest and a little bit of promise in any given medium, they're like, oh, this could be good. Right, here you go. Here's all the things you need. And then I'm like, oh, no, I'm not interested in that anymore. Now it's making confession. So when I was younger, do you remember egg flips?
I don't think so. It's not ringing any bells.
So, egg flips were these little plush chicken toys. So basically, like the company Moose, they used to make like the best, most camp toys ever. So essentially, you'd buy it, and the packaging would show you like this plush egg. And then what you would do is you'd purchase it, open it, and then you'd turn the egg inside out. It had like Velcro, and it was like whatever. And then it would reveal what pattern the like little chookie was. And initially I was like, no, that's a girl's toy. But then all the girlies at school were like, look at all these little chookies we got. And I was like, I think that's me. I think I need that. So yeah, I ended up getting some. And then my little ADHD gay child brain was like, they need a house. They need a house.
Oh, girl, when I was like 11 years old, I started making dolls out of corks.
Oh.
Like champagne corks. My parents were alcoholics. I started making dolls out of champagne corks. And then I started making them a house out of cardboard. And I had this like fancy little deluxe mansion for these teeny tiny little cork dolls that I made. Just out of nothing. Out of scraps of the recycle bins. Strike two. Send me out.
It's funny you should say that because that was the exact vibe I was going on. So what I ended up doing was I probably at this stage maybe had like 6 of these little toys. And then I ended up finding a shoebox. I cut doors in it, cut windows in it. My parents were renovating at the time, so I pinched some of the wallpaper. I put carpet in it. I made little furniture. And then I ended up acquiring smaller boxes over time, and then I would like add them onto the house. So I ended up making an entire floor plan to a house that was wallpapered, had like paintings and stuff in it. And I even had like my Game Boy sitting in it, being like, well, that's a TV.
Yeah.
And then out of like tissues, I'm like, well, those are the beds and stuff like that. Like the creative power of an autistic person is unmatched by any. Like, yeah, as you're saying, like you managed to make something out of literally nothing.
Yeah, no, because we were so working class. So, like, doing my arts and crafts out of the scraps that were around home was so common for me, like, making things out of that. My mom would make my Halloween costumes out of, like, old clothes of hers. One of my first Halloweens in Canada, she made me a ladybug, like, shell out of red sweatpants and a black long-sleeve T-shirt. And she just, like, stuffed it with newspaper, drew some spots on it, put some extra arms on there, like... My family was also quite creative, but I'm the generation that really took it to the next level.
Literally. What's like when you are alive at this time and having a regular job is just not working out. Now it's like, okay, well, now that I'm aware that I am disabled, now what? Then all of a sudden you've got all this extra time and you're like, well, I've got all this creative juice. Like, it's, a completely different ballpark when your own brain chemistry is like, we can get ourselves together for something that is exciting and is for us, but it's like, I can't get myself together to suffer from tedium just because some corporation was like, no, you should love doing data entry every day of your life forever.
Like, all I wanted to be when I was a kid, when I grew up, was an artist. That was
Same.
always my thing, and I never gave a damn, never gave a darned about making money from it, never gave a darned about, becoming rich and getting to the next level, going up in class. It was, I just want to be happy and I want to make art.
I just want to be authentic.
Time. Yeah.
So it's...
I want to have my basic needs met.
Mm-hmm. I want good food to eat. I want time to spend with my people.
Yeah.
And I want to have all these creative juices flow out of me in a way that's sustainable and can be received by the public. Actually, it's really interesting because, since starting drag and having now, an audience that is not only, receiving my creativity, but requesting it. They're wanting it. They're like, when's the next thing? Which gives me the dopamine I need to continue pumping out all these different things, which I've not experienced in the past before. Because, before doing drag, I've done, portrait painting. What else? Let's go down the list, actually, of all the things that I've dabbled with. So I've dabbled with printmaking, jewellery making. There's this type of, printing process that was on TikTok where this creator used a jelly plate that they would roll ink onto or onto a magazine page and then press it and then they would make collages that way. I've dabbled in collage. I've dabbled in graphite. The only painting medium that I didn't really vibe with was acrylics just because it dried straight away. But
I prefer acrylics.
Really?
I hate oils because they take forever to dry, and at least with an acrylic, I can paint over it and I can fix it later.
Well, the thing that I find with oils is, first of all, the slow drying time is the greatest asset for me because, when I'm painting portraits, I want to be able to place the pigment and then I want to be able to blend it. And then if I decide that, that's not in the right place, because obviously portraits are quite intricate and there's... Actually, when I am painting portraits, there's almost nothing else that takes up as much space in my mind as doing that because there's so many moving parts while you're doing it. So it's is this in the right place? Is this the right value? Is it light or dark enough? Is this the right tone? Is there enough paint on my brush? Is this the right brush that I'm using? Is this starting to look like a person? So many different things. Where you're did I blend that out too much? Should I? And out of all the different activities that I've done in the past, that's the one that's just really quite involved, which I do and don't miss. Because ever since I had my concussion in the early 2020s, my ability to actually sit down and hyper-focus on one thing for extended periods of time comes at a greater cost now. So before, I would just be fine afterwards, and I'd be oops, I didn't eat. Or oops, I didn't, exactly. And then all of a sudden, I would sort that out and I'd be fine. But nowadays, it's once I finish hyper-focusing for a few hours, probably 3 or 4 hours, then I'll just go home and I'm I need to sit down, I need to be in a dark room, and I need to not do anything for the rest of the day. Just a little sip of water for me.
Just a little bit of water.
Yeah, also Anne is crocheting at the moment.
Yeah.
So
Brought out the crochet again.
Yeah, so if you can hear some little tactile sounds, that's what that is.
ASMR.
Yeah. So what other crafts have I done? So, pardon me. Oh, so obviously there's drag. And other moving parts of drag have been obviously makeup artistry, sewing, designing, op shopping, repurposing, and then obviously there's all the embellishment stuff. So I've got some stuff to do embroidery, but I'm waiting for either some free time or the right garment, or inspiration to hit.
Embroidery is pretty easy. It's just very time consuming.
Yeah, because that's like usually the part that I struggle with the most when it comes to like a craft is the time consuming part of it. So I'm sure it's within my abilities to, put together like a full like couture outfit thing. Because most of the like high end stuff is just like a beautiful gown or a beautiful piece, but the part that makes it expensive is just how much time and effort has been taken to like sew in all these tiny little glass beads and things like that, which is the part that I would struggle with the most. I'll be like, all right, let's make the gown, and we'll just call her one of the girlies to do that
the
part
rhinestones for me.
Exactly, yeah.
I love the small, tedious things like the rhinestoning, sewing on beads, sewing on sequins. Very meditative for me. I've always quite liked things that are very fine and finicky to deal with because I'm real focused in. I'm in on it. I'm watching it. The only thing I'm thinking about right now is this tiny little delicate process that I'm working on.
I can enjoy that, but usually if the finish line is like, I'm going to be doing this for the next 3 weeks, I'm like, absolutely not. I won't even start that. But if it's like, a couple of hours and then this thing will be done and then I'll have this thing forever, like, that's doable. So if I'm just like, okay, we're going to sew some beads onto this collar or something, that'll be much more manageable than like, let's sew beads onto this entire like suit jacket, which like, that could be nice. What other hobbies have you dabbled in?
Oh, no, I've done a lot. Drawing and painting were definitely the early ones. I got into sewing when I was really young, knitting when I was quite young, costuming. I had a brief period of rockets. I guess that counts as a hobby. Like, just those little like hobby rockets with the little tiny engines that you put in there, and then you've got like wires to hook up to it, and you go 10 feet away, you push the button, and it goes up a couple hundred meters, comes back down on a parachute.
That's fun.
Yeah, and because my dad would get me the kits to build them from scratch.
Yeah.
And then, so once you've built like the base of the rocket, you then have to paint it as well.
Fun.
Which is one of the cool parts. One of my favorite parts, but my favorite part of the rockets was launching them.
Yeah.
It was very fun. What else have I been into over the years? Yeah, I did a bit of jewelry making, helped a bit of collage. The wigs, I've been getting major into my wigs. That's like its own hobby now, is wig styling, I would say. Crochet, I picked that up a few years ago.
How long does it take you roughly to finish one square?
Not that long. I could probably do a square in like 20 minutes if
wow.
all I'm doing is the square.
Yeah. Actually, that's not bad at all.
So it goes way faster than knitting. You don't have to keep track of as many stitches as in knitting. Because what I found with knitting was all of the counting it got a bit much for me. Too many numbers starts overwhelming me.
I
The
struggle with
crochet,
that
it's
type
like
of stuff
it's
too.
one stitch at a time, instead of my entire row of stitches.
Yes. That would drive me nuts if anything requires that I have to count while I'm doing the thing. It just won't happen. Like, I had an exercise plan through my physio to help with some of my injuries and stuff. And they'll be like, all right, so what you're going to do is you're going to do this simple exercise, and then you're
going to do 20 of them 3 times
exactly
for 60 seconds.
And I'm like, or I could just do them until I feel fatigued.
Yeah.
Or I could just not do them.
Or I could just not do that.
So I'm like, the only way that, like, I can enjoy exercise so long as I can also zone out.
Yeah.
That's when exercise is really good for me, because it's like the blood's pumping, the body's busy, and then it's just, okay, now let's go through these thoughts and feelings that we haven't had the capacity to think about recently. Actually, that's a nice hobby of mine, self-reflection.
Self-reflection.
Yeah, which I wish a lot more people had that hobby as well.
Honestly.
And it shows. It shows. Yeah, so painting. So another little fun thing is when you join your crafts together. So what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to make quite a structured drag outfit, and probably maybe like essentially just like a big corset.
Yeah.
And maybe just some extra embellishments. But I also want to use my portrait painting, the oils, and paint onto the corset itself. So it's essentially just like it is a, you are wearing a painting, and you are the painting.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, do reality television or something. Then all of a sudden it's going to be worth so much.
So much money.
Exactly. And then that's what we do. And then start the fashion house. Start doing the online content. Well, not start then. We'll already be doing that.
We're doing the online content now. Follow us on TikTok.
Yes. Oh, my brain just did a fart. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Are there any creative outlets that you've been wanting to dabble in, but maybe you've been priced out of, or maybe you don't?
Silversmithing.
Yeah,
I really want to get into silversmithing.
Yeah.
Not so much a cost barrier for this next one, but tattooing. That's more just finding the mentor and also finding the time to be able to dedicate to that again, because I was heavily after a tattoo apprenticeship before I started drag. And now that I do drag, it's like, this is my main thing, and I don't have as much time anymore.
Well, it's like, with that as well, like, your drag is also like a display of your creative talents and stuff.
And
so
like
I can
my
imagine
dedication and my hard work as a person. And it's
Exactly.
also getting me those people skills as well, which
Yeah.
are all very valuable in the tattooing industry, you know.
Oh my God,
running
what if
my
we-
own business, being nice.
like just one big drag co-op where you can go to get outfits made, you can buy jewelry, you can get tattooed.
you can get your wigs, you get your nails.
Yeah.
You can get painted.
Yeah, the whole lot.
Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah, because I also landed on tattooing a while ago because I was just like, well, I'm not going to do hospo again. I'm not going to do customer service. What is like something that seems like it would be, doable? And tattooing to me seemed like the most logical thing. So it's creative.
Yeah.
You're not having to speak to 500 people at one time. You don't have to mask necessarily. And you can just chat to one person the whole time.
Yeah.
And who knows, I still might dabble into it at some stage. My thing was I ended up buying all the stuff I needed to put together a portfolio, but then, life got away with me because obviously I was doing other projects and stuff. But like drags just fit extremely well.
Yeah.
Just the regular reassurance, the regular what's the word I'm looking for?
The attention.
The attention, and it's just like just the cycle is a lot quicker than other things.
It's a good stable cycle for art, I found, at least for me, because it's giving me like solid deadlines to go by, but they're not super stressful deadlines, but they are concrete deadlines.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, because when I would try to set a deadline for myself, like building my tattoo portfolio, I would, because the deadlines weren't real, quote unquote, I'd just let them go by. But now with drag, it's like I have to have this done by this day because I have this show. So it's because I've got those actual concrete deadlines with drag, it keeps me actively engaged with all my arts and crafts way better.
Exactly. It's like there's something on the line, because it's like if I don't finish this outfit, then I will either have nothing to wear or I will rewear an outfit. Or like I'll have to change my concept and send a different song or whatever. I could not relate to that anymore, because it's just like, it's always been difficult to keep the dopamine coming. But since we essentially now have a drag show every weekend, sometimes sometimes more often if that's what we're looking at. Currently, I think one a weekend's enough for me. But I think if I were to change my drag character up a little bit, then maybe that would change. Because I'm like, I think if my makeup's too refined, then it takes that much longer to get things even, to keep things tidy. But if I'm like, let's just be a little monster, then I could just be grubby.
Just be freaky.
Exactly, freaky deaky. Well, I suppose October's coming, and we do have a lot of spooky shows in the works. Also,
So many spooky shows. Also, Friday the 13th this month at yours,
Yeah.
7 o'clock. We've got a spooky cabaret there.
we do. I'm going to be doing a different drag character this time as well.
Ooh.
For the first
Oh my
time.
gosh.
Yeah. I think he's he, him, or maybe he's it, that.
That.
Yeah. Creature.
Creature.
Spooky.
Yeah. I want to
yeah.
give Anne like a little possession kind of thing. Like she's possessed by a little creature and the creature comes out sometimes.
I love that.
So it's still like sticking with my thing of like it's all the same character. But like just because like
Different
how I do in
layers.
Truthany, like
Yes.
it's still Anne, but that's the boy version. It's the gender swap episode. So like
Yeah.
here's the fungus possession episode, Anne. You know?
This is the episode that Anne ate the thing in the fridge that went off a little too long ago. And then it just started growing. Actually, I feel similarly, because like obviously I've got my drag character, but then I've got the fae character that comes out occasionally,
Yeah.
once in a blue moon. And then now I'm going to have this like grotesque creature, which, yeah, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Have fun with it. Life is short. Have fun with everything. Who
Exactly.
cares?
Nothing's that serious.
Literally.
And if people take things too serious, like just be like, hey, stop that. Yeah. Like, also last night I was playing around with some leather. Not like that, but like, so I ended up finding locally in one of the secondhand like fabric stores, there's like scraps of tan leather. Like, I think it must have come through from a tannery,
Yeah.
but what they do, because they're like
all the
testing.
scraps.
Exactly. But the best part of that is that they've chopped all these tiny little bits of leather into the exact same shape. So last night I was up far too late. By the way, we've got roughly 4 minutes left. I was up far too late making a ton of leather bows so that I can connect them all together into maybe like a shawl or like a dress type thing. And I think that'd be really cool because it's all genuine leather. Normally, if you were to make something, the garment that I'm putting together, it would cost you
Oh yeah.
enormous amounts of money.
And that's 90% of that cost is the manual labor involved.
Yeah. And then it's also just like if you were to source like the leather like through,
Through a tannery.
exactly,
or
then
a
they'd be like,
fabric
cool, what's going to
supply.
cost X amount? And you're like, okay, well. But this way, it cost me next to nothing. And then I'm going to have all these beautiful leather bows that I'll be able to reuse and wear many a time. And they will last the test of time.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, like that's been something that I've really enjoyed about doing drag is the challenge of, because I don't want to just like buy fabric and then make something and be like, oh look, someone else in Auckland's wearing that fabric because we got it from the same chain store that just happens to be, yeah, like I prefer to find things in secondhand stores, repurpose things. Like if I find a beautiful embroidered like cushion cover, I'm going to turn it into like clothing.
Yeah.
Because like embroidery is so beautiful to me. Like you can see the attention in it, but it's like to actually do it yourself, a lot of time and effort, which I don't necessarily have. So for me, just, repurposing something that people wouldn't normally be like, oh, clothes.
Yeah.
Duh.
Like I don't really buy new fabrics unless I need a very specific kind of fabric for what I'm making. Because 9 times out of 10, I can find something close in the thrift store. It's
Yeah.
a close enough color, it's close enough texture, it's the right type of fabric. Or, I also just like getting fabrics from the thrift store and creating something from them rather than having something in mind. Like
Exactly.
when I did my diva costume, like I did my SketchUp of what I had in mind, and then I just went and looked for all different kinds of blue fabrics, and then eventually I had enough blue fabrics all from the thrift store to like make something really gorgeous.
And it turned out amazing.
Yeah, so even when I do have a vision in mind, it just takes time more than anything of going to the thrift store and being on the lookout for the specific kind of thing. But
Exactly. And I'd say that that's something that we both have the privilege of, is having enough free time to go check out the thrift stores, especially like, because obviously a lot of people will be like, oh, I wish I could go to the thrift stores more often. And I'm like, well, try being disabled.
Yeah.
Because then you'll have more time.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's like, I find that going earlier in the week is like prime.
Yeah.
But like a lot of other people, like people who are working full time, typically would have to go on the weekends, and it's like by that time you've missed 5 whole days of turnover. But that's okay because those are our days, and that's when we get our things.
We go get our things. We go on a Tuesday.
Yeah, and then we just kiki, and then we haul it all back to the art studios that we have, and then we just wait for inspiration to hit, because that's usually how I do my design process. Because a lot of creators would just like, right, let's do a little sketch. What if I did a jacket and it was brown, and let's make it. But for us, it's like, I don't know what this is, but I like it. How can I turn this into...
I'll be like, oh, I want to turn these fabrics into a little two-piece set. Okay, I want to do a top. Okay, I want to do a skirt. What kinds of patterns do I already have that will work with the amount of fabric I have? What can I do to like make it from scratch?
Yeah. Right. Well, that is our time for today. That just flew by, didn't it?
Sure.
Well, we will catch you for another episode in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been lovely to chat with Anne, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
And that's a wrap for today. Diversity Dispatch airs fortnightly on Thursdays at 5 p.m. So if you like today's episode, then be sure to join us in a couple of weeks for the next installment on ORFM.
And check out the podcast on oar.org.nz and your favourite podcast platforms. Tune in for more chill chats, fun facts, and upcoming local events on Diversity Dispatch.
This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.